Hey everybody, welcome back. Long time no talk. So we've got the Beware of SummerSlam Contest Part 2 boss battle coming up. Um, as I always like to do, I've sat with my friends on Twitch here and have gone over who we reasonably think are going to be the big hitters for this boss battle. And I've done all of the calculations and crunched some numbers, and I can show you reasonably how much they're going to hit when they're all fully specced out. And I know not everybody's going to be able to run it fully specced out, and that's fine. But I like to show what the upper end of the damage level could be, and then as you're playing and you're setting your cards up, you can kind of expect to hit a little bit less, but you're still very much in the know of roughly what you're going to hit for. Okay, so let's talk about the buffs real quick. You'll find real fast that I'm going to skip almost everything involving cross break gems. I don't think they matter. I didn't find anybody who is really going to get a lot of use out of the cross break gems, so we're just going to kind of ignore that. The boss buffs themselves are multiplier gems and generated from moves will increase their strength by 4. Yellow gems will do 100% more damage. And then there's the boss debuff of 25% less damage from all gems. And then over here, the scouting missions are pretty important. Day 2 is 30% all gem damage. Day 3 is 100% yellow gem damage. And then day 5 is 5 more multiplies. All right. Over here on the calculator, um, all of this is just standard stuff from the gym damage calculator alone. So if you've watched any of my gym damage videos, this should be pretty familiar. Down here, the scout buff. These are all the scout buffs that we're getting. This is just yellow, and then the all gym buff. The scout debuff is the 25% down, and the boss buff of 100 is for yellow gems that comes from this one right here. I will manually calculate all of the multiply gems and make them so that they're correct with in-game stuff. All right. So Scopely has gone back to the um, back to their stated goal of making the A tier chase a boss battle hitter, and they have certainly done so this time. A little bit of a roadblock that I have is I don't actually have Becky Lynch on my roster yet. So we will go to the Superstar portal. Now, I actually have most of her stats already loaded in, and I'll talk about it real quick here in just a second. But this is going to be a two move setup, and you're going to be able to run it one of two. Really, you're going to want to run it one of two ways. The first move is the discus clothesline, deal some damage, increase your yellow MP by 6. Hardcore if your opponent's class is Striker, and our opponent is Striker Naomi. Deal some damage and make 18 random gems into multiplied gems of strength 6. Okay. And then the second move is going to be the Manhandle Slam. Deal some damage, and then bonus damage for every cross break gem, but we're ignoring this completely. And then finisher, make 48 random gems into yellow gems and pin the opponent. This is what we're looking for: is the make 48 randos into yellow. And this is a 10 MP move, but back in business specs is a chase card this month, so she has plus 99 MP. As such, you can kind of go wild with her entourage. All right. So the entourage for all of the numbers I have set up over here are all multiply gem focused. All right. And this is also assuming that you have every toy available for her. All right, so I'm going to drop this for a second and go back to the calculator over here. So, as always, here's your base gem damage. It's 62008 at full 6-star gold, no hollow stars. The strat bonus, we're assuming you have 150% strat. The Fury, a full set of Fury 3s with a yellow Fury 3 medal. And then we're going to assume you have about 20% yellow substat across these Fury 3s. This is going to be static. No matter what card I talk about, we're going to assume that you can set up the strap this way. All right. For the trainers, you're going to want to use Leo, Howdy, Sherry, and Mosh. And I can't show them all for you, but I'll talk about what they do as we get to them. So we're not using any percentage trainers for yellow gem damage or anything like that, which is why all of this is 0. Her gear gives her +4 multiplies. And then the moment gives 50% damage to all gems and then +3 multiplies. There is class advantage here. Showboats are naturally strong against strikers, and we're fighting a striker, so we get the 25% class advantage. And then plates, I've got 200%. And this is based off of the Nightmare plate and the Ministry plate. The Ministry plate is you make 6 or more multiplied gems, increase all your gem damage by 100%. And the Nightmare plate is whenever you make 6 or more multiply, increase your yellow gem damage by 100%. So we got 200% there. Howdy does give you 60% damage to all multiply gems. And that's it as far as trainers are concerned. All right. Over here, number of gems broken. The finisher or the yellow move does break 48 yellow. All right. So we know we're going to break 48 gems. The multis, after you take care of this 3 from the moment, 4 from the gear, 3 from Leo, 4 from Sherry, 1 from Mosh, and then the 9 from the boss buffs, plus the 6, which is the normal size of them, your multiplies are going to be 30, which is huge. So you're going to have 18 multiplies of 30. And then when you add Howdy and Mosh, you're going to get an extra 8 of them. So you're going to have 26 multiplied gems of strength 30 on the board. This means when you hit, you'll hit one time for 1.192 billion damage. Let's call it 1.193 billion damage. Now, the problem with this is it doesn't recycle. You may be able to get lucky and catch a green cascade or something like that, but it's not going to be consistent. All right. So if you could run that exact setup, but you have the heavy machinery plate, which is the break yellow, get green MP. The green move is a 1 MP move. So you would reload itself naturally. You would lose 100% from your plate. That brings you down to a cool 1 billion, 1.036 billion. Assuming you can cycle this moveset twice, there you go. Solo carry. All right. Now, I understand that Howdy is not the most common, but if you have Z-Punk, you can do something like this. 40% for yellow gem damage. And this is assuming that you're just running Leo. The number of multis broken reduces to 23. You're doing about 978 million. And if you don't have a Leo, this goes to 27. And you throw another random zombie on, that brings that up to 120. Now you're at 957 million. Let's say you don't even have Z-Punk, but you can run 2 zombies. That puts you at 900 million. No matter how you slice it, really, let's say you don't have the ministry plate, because I don't have the ministry plate. 779 million. This Becky is going to do a lot of damage. All right. She's going to do a lot of damage. Full stop. It's going to be awesome. So if you've got Becky, you have all the toys, you've got her maxed out at 6-star gold, and you can throw all the good stuff on her, you're going to be able to solo carry everybody in your faction for as long as you have patience to do so. All right. Cool? Cool. So let's get to where I can actually start showing some stuff off. The second best card, I think, for this particular boss battle is going to be Michelle McCool. And this one's going to be pretty easy. And I think Michelle McCool is also going to be able to solo carry. Okay. So the way this one's going to work is triple yellow, and we're going to use the armbar to load the Faith Breaker. I know this is going to slow everything down, and I get it, but you're only going to have to use this move once, and I still think you're going to be able to cycle everything enough times to at least do a significant chunk of damage, if not be able to solo carry alone. All right. So with McCool, by the way, this gets much better if you have her gear. All color moves will start with 5 more MP. You can kind of eliminate, you can either do one of two things. You can eliminate the need for both your MP trainers, essentially, because you're starting with, no, I'm not both of them. I'm sorry, not both of them. Santa. You can eliminate Santa and replace with whatever you want. All right. So armbar to get everything loaded. And then from there, you're going to hit the backlift face buster, which make 34 random gems into 1 turn countdown gems. That'll make 2 random multiplies of strength 2 at the end of the countdown. Okay. So armbar, get everything loaded, drop your countdowns, swipe so all of the countdown gems go off, and then hit the Faith Breaker, which is make 48 multiplied gems into yellow gems and pin the opponent. The entire board's going to be multiplied gems. All of it. So the fact that this is strength 2 really doesn't hurt you all that much. All right. So at full stars and max levels, her base gem damage is also 62008. All right. Percent trainer bonus that we're running with here is going to be Zombie Punk. No gear bonus, no moment bonus. She does have class advantage. For plates, if you have the hard time in the ministry plate, that's probably what you're going to want to use. Because the hard time plate is a 2-turn, so the swipe will not eliminate the plate bonus. And the countdown gems going off will trigger the ministry plate. All right, and this drops to 60. Now, where things get pretty cool is your multiplied gems are going to be 2 plus 9 for the boss battle, so that's 11, plus 4 from Sherry, that's 15. But you're breaking all 48 of them, and they're all turning yellow. Oh, I forgot to add Santa. Can't forget about Santa. 2200 damage. That puts you 1 billion. 1.1 billion, essentially. 1.096 if you want to get real technical. All right. If you have the gear and you can run Leo instead of Santa, that puts you at 1.3 billion. Well, not exactly 1.3. You got to get rid of that. 1.28 billion. Okay. And if you want to run Leo instead of Zombie Punk, you can do that as well. That gets you to 1.135 billion. And after the Faith Breaker finisher, everything goes off. You just hit the Face Buster again, swipe again, Faith Breaker again. Should theoretically be game over no matter how you get this set up. Now, again, I'm running probably about as best as I can, or at least as best as I can show. If you don't have this stuff, swap out for the best thing you got. You don't have Sherry, use one of the 2 MP 2 X trainers, or Matt Hardy if you've got him. If you don't have Zombie Punk, run a zombie. Run Gunther, right? Just whatever you've got to increase the parts that are going to do the most damage. So those are the 2. Becky and McCool, I think, have the best shots at a solo carry. All right. Asuka, I think, is also going to be great. All right. We'll talk about Entourage here in a second. Her base stats are the exact same, 62,008. All right, she does not have gear, and her moment only gives yellow gems 50% more damage. So we'll put that over here in the moments. She does still have class advantage. All right. With Asuka, the real important thing is going to be the yellow reinforce or the rainbow reinforce plate. Whenever you make a bunch of reinforces, increase your yellow gem damage by 200%. And the rainbow is all gems by 200%. And the hard times plate is 100% when you make countdown gems. All right. What's cool about Asuka is she has these activated buff moves. So her finisher will increase by 165, and then the double knee face breaker is 250. All right. So if you add both of those together, you come up with 415. You're going to end up breaking 42, 84 gems without a cascade, with no multis. And then the entourage is just getting everything set up to be loaded turn one. So you've got to use Braun, you've got to use Kofi, you've got to use Santa. And then Hall of Fame Yoko here, reinforced gems to 100% more damage, is the trainer that you're going to want if you've got him. The way that's going to work as far as the calculator is concerned, it's got to be 50%, because the calculator can't say, okay, you get 100% boost for reinforces, and then you get no boost for the ones that are not reinforced. But if you average it out, it's 50% both ways. So we can run that way with it. And that gets you to 702 million. Pretty decent, right? Pretty decent. Things get a little worse if you don't have the reinforced plate. You get down to about 538, 539 million. But if you can run those plates, there you go. You're at 700 million. Now, here's the thing that I don't quite know about, but I think it's worth talking about. I think the finisher eliminates these buffs. Okay. But if it doesn't for some reason, and you can run this again, you run the Russian leg sweep, and then you run the Empress kick again, and these buffs stick around, you can add another 165% here. That puts you at 580. That means your second hit's going to be about 927 million. Add that to the 700 million, you're doing about 1.6 billion, north of 1.6 billion damage turn one. Because I'm pretty sure you can run all this turn one. It's going to be a little cascadey. I get that. So that may slow you down a little bit. But that's going to put you real close to turn one territory, especially if you have somebody helping you, provided that it does work this way. If it doesn't, and all of the buffs go away, your second hit is actually going to just be 361. So it'll put you at a cool billion first turn. Meaning the two Oscars can probably carry, if you have it set up with all the plates and all the good stuff. All right, 275 plus the 538. Let's call it 540. So that's 800. You'll do about 15 million if you don't have the reinforced plates. Still viable. It goes away from two Oscars being able to solo carry, but it's still a significant chunk of damage. All right. Those, I believe, are the three big hitters. There is honorable mention to Showboat Charlotte. Right. And you do the same thing. You just absolutely load her up with multiply and stuff like that. The reason I say it's an honorable mention is because this gets put on a rainbow board, and I cannot calculate rainbow boards. I just can't. I can't come up with a good way of doing it. If somebody can come up with a really decent way of calculating a rainbow board, let me know, and I will start adding that um, into my repertoire. But I can't think of a way to do it. She may hit really hard, um, but she may not, just depending on board composition and stuff like that. So Charlotte Flair is probably going to do pretty good. I just don't know how good. All right. Our other honorable mention is Hogan. Hogan always does great in boss battles. We all know this. So if you can run Hogan, run Hogan. And then the last one I want to talk about is Molly Holly. And Molly Holly is interesting for a couple of different reasons. Where'd she go? There she is. So you can just run her double yellow. And I forgot to save a loadout. Um, she's really interesting for a couple of different reasons. So let's get her stats loaded into the calculator. And we'll go from there. So we're looking at 52,753 plus 5505. Base gem damage is 58,258. And we're going to continue with the same strap here as we've talked about. Now, her gear is not going to help her as far as damage, so you really just need the silver gear. All color moves start with 2 more move points. But that allows you to do... Do I have anything in my previous? Of course not. So this, you'll be loaded as long as you have the gear and 1 MP trainer. So here's the yellow. Here, and I don't have it, you want Seth freaking Rollins. If you don't, just put a yellow gym coach in here. You'll be just fine. But Seth freaking Rollins is absolutely what you want. All right. So this gives you 6 yellow MP. You want Streakberg here. So where's my Streakberg? Probably equipped on somebody. 3 cheers for pre-planning. There we go. And then you want Stunning Steve. Or anybody who does yellow gym damage. Okay. He's probably equipped on somebody. Where's my Stunning Steve? There you go. So 40% all gym damage. The reason you want this is because of the moveset that I just realized I forgot to talk about. So running front dropkick. Choose 1 gem into making a 2-turn juggernaut gems that will increase your yellow gem damage by 100% for 1 turn when activated when this is maxed out. And then it will increase your yellow gem damage by 200% when it is completely done. And then when this is maxed out, you get to choose 2. If you have Seth freaking Rollins and you have Streakberg, you're choosing 4 of these. All right. So you drop 4 jugs. You do everything you can to... Oh, yeah. You swipe twice. As soon as all 4 of these jugs pop, you now have an activated move buff of 800%, which is pretty big. All right, so let's go fix the calculator. We have 40% for Stunning Steve. There's no moment bonus. There's no class advantage. Plates, I couldn't come up with a decent one. I guess the LA Bite plate, if you've got it. All right. And then you're going to be making 38 yellow, and we're just going to assume that we're going to break 38 yellow. This gets you to a result of about, I don't know, 315 million. But then you get to recycle this. You just keep clicking Gutbuster. Because after it all breaks, you're reloaded. These have not disappeared, so you still have your 800% activated buff. So you click Gutbuster again. And then you click it again. And then you click it again. as many times as you can manage to do it in a turn, and this 315 will stay static. This is how much you'll do just about every time before cascades. I think you could probably get to 900 million. I really do. And then theoretically, that LA bite plate will increase every time if you've got it. So you will, kind of grow your damage a little bit. I'm going to put this at 50% just because I'm pretty safe with saying 315 million. Okay. Um, Now, if you don't have Seth freaking Rollins, that's fine. The activated buff actually moves down to 600%. Well, let's put it this way. If you don't have Seth freaking Rollins or Streakberg, you only have one of the two, your activated buff goes down to 600, and then you just come in here and you add another yellow, either coach or trainer. I don't have Seth freaking Rollins, so I'm just going to make this 85 because I do have Cena. No, it's 90 because I have another Cena that'll give me 50%. This puts me at 269, repeatable. I'll just keep on going um, and keep on going. If you have neither one of them, you'll still get a 400% activated buff. You find some more yellow gem damage. Let's add 30% here. You'll do 200 million. Repeatable, so you can stack it. All right. So that's how all of that. That's how all of that's going to play out. Molly is going to be very great for breaking shield. She's going to be very great to pair with an Asuka, or anybody who just can't quite turn one. And if you can't quite turn one, you bring in a Molly Holly, so you can have two cards to carry and roll all the way through. All right. So that's about the four best that I've found. The new Showboat Becky, Michelle McCool, Asuka, and Molly. All right. Honorable mention, Powerhouse Hulk Hogan, Showboat Charlotte Flair. And then there's some others in here that may be able to do some work. You could probably figure out a way to get Sonya to do 250 million. There's somebody else I found that might be able to do 250 million. This Liv is a really interesting question, but I'm going to do some testing before I even talk about it. And then Shotzi here, you might be able to do something with. But there you go. I think that's going to be the boss battle carriers for the upcoming boss battle. As always, I hope you learned something today. I hope you've been entertained by something today. Or I hope you just enjoyed the sound of my voice. If you have, do me a favor, click like, click subscribe, share to your faction mates, talk to your Discord admin, maybe get my videos pushed directly to your Discord. And I'll holler at you next time. Late.